warm welcome. This is a very special broadcast and you are watching it with me, Rashtriya Swayamsevak. Now the population debate is back and so is the discourse on population policy and infiltration in border areas. After the RSS chief, Mohan Bhagwat, now RSS General Secretary, Dattatreya Hosabale, has stepped into the population round. What are his views? Now he says that religious conversion and undocumented migrants, in fact, from neighbouring countries were among the reasons causing population imbalance in India. Hosabale also made these comments on the last day of RSS National Executive meeting in Prayagraj and also spoke about concerns being expressed regarding religious conversion in the country. Now, throwing in his two bits on anti-conversion, he said that RSS believes that people who converted from Hinduism to other religions should not get the benefits of reservation. Hosabale also talks about existing policies on population control and goes on to say that they could reduce the number of young persons in the country. Remember, these statements at a time when the BJP-led Uttar Pradesh government is preparing to bring a new law on population control. Does it make BJP RSS appear like a house divided? But whether it is Mohan Bhagwat's Vijay Dashmi address or Hosabale's recent one, is it safe to say that the RSS has pretty much stuck to their religion-based population imbalance statement, even talking about how this can lead to changes in geographical boundaries? Take a look.
हमारे देश में कन्वर्शन होने से, मतांतरण होने से कई जगह पर संख्या हिंदुओं की कम होती, उसके परिणाम भी भुगतना पड़ता है।
जनसंख्या का असंतुलन हुआ तो 50 साल पहले उसके गंभीर परिणामों को हमने भुगता और केवल हमारा ऐसा हुआ ऐसा नहीं, आज की तारीख में ये असंतुलन जन्मदर एक भाग है उसका, लेकिन जोर जबरदस्ती या छल कपट से, लालच से मतांतरण, ये सबसे बड़ा फैक्टर है।
Now, India is the world's 7th largest country by area with more than 1.3 billion residents. And if we divide this vast populace on the basis of their religious identities, Hindus account for about 80% of the population. Muslims are at 13%, while other major religious groups like Christians are at 2.3%, Sikhs at 1.9%, Buddhists at 0.8% and Jains at 0.4%. So how does one look at this imbalanced pitch? Shouldn't the bigger problem be that of population explosion than ascertaining which religious group makes for the majority share of the population, or by another logic, one whose growth rate needs to be capped or stunted? Is it really the bigger concern of fear-mongering about population imbalance that might spark hate crimes? Put that aside for once. When we say population explosion, what are we really looking at? Here's decoding for you India's population explosion. Let's now take a look at exactly what we're talking about over here. We have got this map in place for you which talks about how there has been a constant growth rate in population in various states in the country. And this is something that we are putting out when it comes to this population explosion right from the year 2011 to 2019. So this is something that is the actual concern which we would like to actually focus on today. Now, various states across the country have looked at certain population control initiatives. Let's now take a look at what exactly are these population control initiatives that we're talking about. If we talk about the state of Assam, in 2019, there was a two-child policy that was rolled out. It was effective from the year 2021, and this, in fact, disqualifies people with 2 kids for government jobs, and persons also with 2 kids cannot contest local election. And if we take a look at Andhra Pradesh and Telangana in the year 1994, people with 2 kids cannot contest election. Let's shift focus to Maharashtra in the year 2005. people with 2 kids cannot contest panchayat or municipal polls. That is what the idea was behind the Maharashtra population bill. In fact, people with 2 kids cannot hold government jobs as well, and no PDS benefits for women with 2 kids. Taking a look at Rajasthan now. In fact, Rajasthan is the one state that disqualifies people with 2 kids for government jobs. People with 2 kids cannot contest local election. And looking at Gujarat, in the year 2005, this is what happened in the state in Gujarat. People with 2 kids cannot contest panchayat or municipal elections. And if we take a look at Madhya Pradesh, in the year 2001, there was a 2-child norm for government jobs and judicial services. Taking a look at Odisha, persons with 2 children cannot contest local election. Also, at Bihar now, where people with 2 kids cannot contest, more than 2 kids in fact, cannot contest local election. And if you look at Uttarakhand, people with more than 2 kids cannot contest local election. Now, let's take a look at the big debate over population control bill. Why a population law is needed? What is the pros? What are the cons that have been put forth when it comes to the comparison? Now, 1.69 billion population that is projected for the country by the year 2050. This, in fact, will go on to beat China. That is the major argument. Also, the cons against it is, of course, this will in fact lead to a dip in the total fertility rate in the last 10 years. That is from 2.2, it becomes 2.2 from 2.7. So that is something that has been spoken about. Also, if we look at why this law is needed, it's successfully implemented by Vietnam and China. And this is can be taken as an example why we do not need the law. 24 states and union territories have achieved replacement level of fertility rate of 2.1. That's another argument. Also, less stress on resources. It will, in fact, reduce poverty faster. That's why this law is needed, why it isn't. Need for better access to reproductive education first. That's another argument that's been put forth. Also, what is going for the law? It cuts pressure on dwindling natural resources. Important point over there. Also, why it's not needed. The argument is that there's a need to focus more on manpower and manufacturing rather than a law on population. Also, smaller families means better nutrition, and it means better education, and that's why this law should be enacted. Why it shouldn't be? It says that it creates long-term aging population concerns, which is what the argument of the RSS also is, that we are talking about, and that's something that we need to actually put together over here. Let's now take a look at the big question that we are presenting for our viewers and for the guests who are joining us on this broadcast. Is population imbalance a fact or just fear-mongering? Let me put this across to my guests who are joining me on the broadcast. Subhash Jha, a lawyer, joins me. Rahul Ishwar, author activist, is joining me on the broadcast. Also, Atikur Rahman, who is an Islamic scholar, is joining us. Also, Manu Gaur, who is the president of TAXEB and also a population expert, joins me. Manu Gaur, I will take this across to you first. Do you think it's a fair argument that the entire problem of population explosion is talked about from a lens of the religious ethnicity or the religious identities of people? Mr. Gaur?
Garima ji, am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
जो भी लोग इसे धर्म के चश्मे से देखते हैं, रिलीजन के चश्मे से देखते हैं, वो बिल्कुल गलत है। अगर हम देखें हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का प्रीएम्बल क्या कहता है, व्हाट इज इंडिया? इंडिया इज ए सोवरेन सोशलिस्ट सेकुलर डेमोक्रेटिक रिपब्लिक, और यहाँ पर हर जाति, हर धर्म, हर समुदाय, हर मजहब के लोग रहते हैं। फिर हमेशा पॉपुलेशन के ऊपर सिर्फ 2 धर्मों की ही बात क्यों आती है? If we look into the matter, Jain community has the lowest fertility rate in our country, and it is the richest community. Among the most Bihar, if you look Bihar is the state with the highest fertility rate, and गरीब प्रदेशों में बिहार का नाम आता है। तो ये डायरेक्टली लिंक्ड है हमारी पॉपुलेशन, हमारी प्रॉब्लम से, ये डायरेक्टली लिंक है हमारे सप्लाई और डिमांड के रेशो से, हमारे रिसोर्सेज के सप्लाई और डिमांड के रेशो से. If we want to give employment to each and every person, if we want to give fresh air, pure water, organic and healthy food to all our citizens of India, then we have to control our population. India was the first country in the world who very firstly decided to act on the population issues, and it is presently it is the most highly populated country of the world.
Okay. All right. I know, Rahul, you want to come in really badly over here. There are certain points that you intend to make. However, I just want to understand that in that same breath, RSS ideologue, whether we talk about Mohan Bhagwat or Mr. Hosabale over here, both of them went together to talk about anti-conversion and infiltration along the border, and how this is leading up to a population imbalance when it comes to the religious identities of people. How is that justified?
Ma'am, 2 points. Population studies or demographics are a well-documented scientific data-driven field. Every other data is freely available. We have National Family Health Survey, we have government statistics, we have vital statistics department of various states. So the data is definitely there. 2 things. One, when we were children, when we were in school, we were taught that population was a liability. Right now we realize population is an asset. That's the reason why we call it demographic dividend. Our PM Modi ji, RSS Sarsanchalak Mohan Bhagwat has many times spoken about this demographic dividend aspect. But when we say demographic dividend, there should be population stability across various communities. There is a magic number here. That magic number is called 2.1. That 2.1 is a scientific rate which is called the replacement level fertility rate. That replacement level fertility rate should be for every community irrespective of the faith. And there are some communities whose fertility rate fall below 2.1. For example, Jains, as the person who earlier said, Hindu community, as the person earlier said. There are some communities who grow over the fertility rate. So what we need is optimum population rate, or what is generally called as 2 to 2.5 or 2.1 to 2.3. This is the optimum fertility rate. We had a very skewed policy regarding population the past 50 years. Just 2 more lines. China is right now changing their population policy, and China has reversed it only some months ago. We know that Japan is going to collapse because Japan's fertility rate is only 1.33, and people like Elon Musk has been telling it very loudly that Japan is going to implode and collapse. So we have 2 issues here. One is of population explosion, one is of population implosion. Beyond faith, we have to look at it and let us realize that population has to be stabilized. That's the reason why we need a population stabilization policy and a proper demographic dividend harnessing our strength. 2.1 should be the magic number.
So why then the population bills that have been brought in by various states, and Uttar Pradesh is also all said to be bringing in one, Rahul?
Yes, every state should have it hovering around a healthy fertility rate, because this is a matter of science, not of politics or faith. 2.1 is a sacrosanct number which is accepted by demographers world over. That 2.1 is a healthy fertility rate. Every community should have that 2.1, and we should bring a bill that will tie every community to the magic number of 2.1 or 2.1 to 2.3 or 2.4. But there are many communities who are falling below it. That is population implosion. If any community is going above 3 or 4, it is population explosion. So we need to keep around population, the optimum population, and there should be awareness, policy implementation, political will, social coordination without creating enmity or animosity to every community. So a population paradigm is needed. Population policy is needed. Let us not shy away and let us not brush issues under the carpet. Let us be honest, intellectually honest, and address this very sensitive issue.
All right. Atikur Rahman, I'll take this across to you. According to the 5th round of the National Family Health Survey, and I'm quoting from a data over here, this is from 2019 to 2021, India's total fertility rate has declined from 2.2 in 2015-16 to 2 in 2019-21. Isn't it as a result of significant progress in population control measures, or this argument of population implosion that Rahul is talking about stands here?
Well, both Mr. Rahul and Mr. Manu are very much exposing the RSS and the BJP, whatever they say about the population. We need not communalize the issue. That's a core point here. If we need to communalize I would say that the RSS today is changing the goalpost. Since years together, what they were pinpointing that the Muslim population will be overtaking the Hindu population, and that was the cause for worry. Now what they are saying is that the migration of the population and the religious conversion. Now both these ideas or both these realities form in the realm of the government. Why the government, the mighty Modi government, since the past 8 years, they were unable to control either the migration or the religious conversion. And this religion conversion phantom created by the RSS, over the 100 years was never proved. They killed Gramscians on the same lines of religion conversion, and the claims were very much faulty. Never they were to prove that Gramscians was into conversion. No, this creating a communal, bigotry will kill this idea of what Rahul is exactly saying, that why not have a substantial population policy? None of the states, none of the governments in the past have proved that on the floor of the legislature, they are having a population policy. So rather than communalizing, we need to put our heads together, bring in a policy which we have so now failed. And please,
bringing in Mr. Subhash Jha. Mr. Jha, why bring in conversion over here? What does conversion have to do with population explosion?
Conversion does have to do something a lot with the population explosion. Population explosion, see, in a democracy, it is the demography which decides the fate of which party will be ruling, either in the state or in the center. So therefore, it plays a very important role. And let us not talk, when we talk of, I don't think Rahul Ishwar or the speaker who spoke before him spoke anything to do with religion. This is a national issue. This is a matter of serious concern.
Which is what I'm asking you. What does conversion have to do with population explosion, sir?
So if Hindus are converted, into a different religion, say for example Muslim, Islam, or Christianity, the Hindu population is bound to deplete. And
you're still talking about the religious identities of people. You're not talking about population explosion in general, sir, which is what I want again go ahead and ask you. What does conversion mean when it comes to talking about population explosion?
See, it adds to the already populous country like India. Say, for example, now the Hindu population today is about 141 crores. What is the Muslim population? The Muslim population is about 14%. Now, therefore, if people are converted for various reasons, and therefore there is why there is so much of clamor.
But sir, are they not part of the same 1.3 billion people? Is what it's basic maths, don't you think?
No. See, I tell you, the basic maths is this: that we cannot afford, India cannot afford that the Hindu population, while Hindu population will deplete and other religions will increase exponential. We cannot afford to this. And look at what has happened. After 1947, 9 states in the country, about 9 of them out of 29 have become Hindu minority state, and therefore this is a matter of serious concern. Not only the religion changes, the nationality or your allegiance or your faith to the nation also changes with the change in religion, and which is a matter of serious concern. Okay. And the government in power has to come down very heavily. Why only UP? All over the country, there has to be population control. We see the size of India doesn't increase over a period of time. In 75 years, Indian territory has not increased. It has shrunk rather. 1/3 of the area, our territory has gone to Pakistan. So our population will keep on increasing. Where are the resources?
Okay, Rahul, let me bring you in over here. What has been said by both the RSS ideologues, don't you think it is also, this is what the argument is, a coded statement for targeting the rise of what they are claiming to be Muslim population, and that seems to be the fear that has been put forth in the statement?
It is. It is a matter
Two
of serious
humble
concern.
submissions. One, let me quote Mahatma Gandhi himself, our father of the nation. Mahatma Gandhi nearly 80 years back said, if I had the power to legislate, I would bring an anti-forced conversion law. He was the greatest secular icon we have. He's the greatest pluralist icon the world has. But he said anti-forced conversion law should be there because there should be harmony. Second, we know our experience in Middle East where people were converting en masse and it has caused social disturbances. It has caused communal disturbances. And it was Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, our first education minister, who spoke for the Hindu community, expressing inhibition about the mass conversions. Then to a cardinal in Bombay, his name was Cardinal Gracious in the then Bombay or now Bombay. So we have to maintain a sense of balance. I totally agree with everyone who says let us not make our minorities insecure. We should take them into confidence. And along with the same point of time, we need to address and have a, like Atikur sir said, we need to have a comprehensive population policy with every community involved. And please remember, Jains are more at stake. Jains are a very rich, affluent community, but their population dip is going to be a population implosion for that community. We have the oldest Jain community in the world. We are proud to have Mahavira and Jains among us. We should not lose them. They should not be a footnote in history. So that's the reason we call a comprehensive population policy which upholds 2.1 for every community and encourages every community to hover around 2.1 should be our national policy. And I believe every Indian will agree that it should not be done without any communal bias, any communal.
All right. Atikur Rahman, why is there resistance when, let's say, we talk about the state of Uttar Pradesh over here, when the government in the state tries to bring in a population control bill, then also the minorities cry foul on when there is a bill on the so-called love jihad angle and, bill for illegal anti-conversion, that ordinance which was actually put into in the year 2020, then also the minorities go and cry foul. Right. Why do they want to have it both ways? That also is one argument. Please respond.
See, the core argument of the RSS is religiosity. We are defending since 100 years that there is no this thing data available with the RSS that the Muslim community is determinedly trying to cross over the Hindu community. Okay. So their argument falls flat as far as the religious conversion for overtaking the Hindu population or the Muslims are trying deliberately to overpopulate them. So this falls to now they are changing the goalpost. Mr. Jha is, trying to cover it up in some way. Here the problem is if the religious conversions are a factor, then is the Muslim community as a whole responsible for it? Here, the youth are moving towards scientific temperament. The youth are getting, higher education. The youth are getting some kind of a socialization among the communities and the universities and the colleges. Now, by their own choice, where is the data available to say that the conversions are forcefully done? If it is forcefully done, the government is well within its powers to stop it. Okay. So all arguments of the RSS pinpointing communalization of this population explosion falls flat on the ground.
Okay. All right. Manugard, let's go to this argument of an aging population. And, the similes were with China, where the average age has come up to 39. Do you think that argument holds?
No, Garima. First of all, we have to read the one-child policy of China. That was the targeted population policies. They want to control the new 40 million births, new births, in 35 years. Yeah. They have achieved their target in 38 years. Then, to maintain the replacement level, the 2.1 fertility rate, they are allowing more kids. So this is the fact about the population policy, one-child population policy of the China. One thing I want to say is in 1992, the government of India has brought a 79th Constitution Amendment Bill in Rajya Sabha to restrict the persons who have more than 2 kids to vote the elections of MP and MLA. But all these type of political games, सारे नेताओं ने मिलके, सारी political parties ने मिलके उसका विरोध किया.
Okay.
जो अभी आप starting में what you were showing that different states have their separate rules of two-child norm in local body elections. Government of India also decided to do the same with the MP and MLA election.
Okay, Mr. Shah, let me bring you in here. Since we were sticking with that earlier argument, you know, there are 3 states. Let me talk about these 3 states. Let me talk about West Bengal, or for that matter, in Uttar Pradesh, also Western UP, and then Kashmir, where there is a majority of the Muslim population. Do you think that problem of infiltration or having porous borders that has been much spoken about is in context specifically on these states, and that's why it has been spoken about a lot, because of that kind of resistance?
See, I was the author of a petition which was filed in the Supreme Court, and what was said, and this was in the aftermath of the election which was held recently in West Bengal, and this was precisely what was said. See, in a democracy, it is the demography which plays the vital role. So what do you do to manipulate demography to increase Muslim population so that they vote to a particular party? So you bring Rohingyas, you bring people from Bangladesh, you bring people from Pakistan, and then what is happening, and which is a very dangerous trend, mind well, the investigating agency perhaps will have to rise to the occasion, and maybe the government of India do something. What is happening, in my assessment, this is my study, that population, a certain section of people are made to float from one constituency to another. The moment the election in that constituency gets over, they are made to go from one place to another. And therefore, in the recently held election,
I think you will also agree that this is a political point that even the RSS is going ahead and making. So I don't quite understand this point that you going ahead and making when it comes to the problem of infiltration, and what does one really mean when you say bringing these people from across the borders. Anyways, that's the problem of discourse over here. However, I think we all will agree to this one point, that if ample infrastructure is put in good health and good education, I think we can get over this problem of population explosion. That essentially is what we are talking about over here, and that essentially that